Hey, what's going on everybody, and welcome back for another Fallout 4 mod bundle. Today we have a really interesting theme that was actually suggested by one of you guys, and that is Micah Bell as part of our Discord. The idea being, find some medieval mods for Fallout 4, things that add like knight armor or axes, swords, stuff like that, and I thought that was super interesting and would be really fun and unique to try to find mods for. I've actually been addicted to Blade and Sorcery a lot lately. That's what's playing in the background right now, so I thought this would be right up my alley, finding some stuff like that to throw into Fallout, and it has been quite a fun experience. It was actually a little bit more than I had thought, and there's probably even more than what's in this video. Regardless, stay tuned for some really cool mods, and I hope you enjoy. And if you'd like to drop your own recommendation for future mod bundles, go ahead and do that in the comments. I'd love to get some ideas so I can go and find even more mods for you guys. So first up, we've got the Junkie Knight Armor by DrakeDaeron, and this adds some really cool knight armor actually being used in the upcoming Fallout London project into the game. And this set of armor looks so super cool. It actually looks like it was made by some raiders trying to mimic knight armor, which is honestly a cooler style for me and kind of prevalent in some of the mods we have coming up. This mod also features a good bit of customization as well as leveled list integration. So really awesome new set of armor, and it's all modular. There's different pieces like helmets, chest, arms, and legs, which is always a big plus for armor mods for me, so I really like this one. Let's go ahead and check out some of the different armor types that are available within this. So first up is the light armor, which is what you see here. It really only has shin protection and forearms, as well as a nice big chest piece and a cool helmet. The helmet actually stays the same throughout all of the armor sets, but it's really just the other pieces that are different, similar to vanilla Fallout 4 armors. As we work our way up, we now have the medium set of armor. You can see that the chest piece is now bigger and also has some hanging flaps to protect your sides. We also have some thigh and shoulder protection now. So overall, just a little bit beefier and of course gives you better armor rating. Overall, this is a nice looking set of armor. And then finally, we have the heavy armor set with even bigger shoulder pauldrons, more protected thighs, as well as some back armor that looks really cool, and spikes adorning this whole thing as well, giving it a really interesting look. I really dig this armor set, and this has actually been in my load order since forever. It's even in the Survivor series. And like I was saying earlier, this suit is modular, so you can wear this over any armor, as well as mix and match it. This really lets you give a new meaning to the Brotherhood Knight. But I think the best thing that you can do with this armor set is mix and match it with the metal armor in the vanilla game to create some really cool handmade armor sets, and that looks super neat. But now that we've got our armor settled, we need to get some weapons to go with it, so we are using the Get Medieval Weapon Pack by LeahTheUnknown. This mod adds a bunch of medieval weapons into the game, and interestingly enough, they don't look exactly like their medieval counterparts, but rather like somebody in the Fallout universe was trying to recreate them with the supplies they had, and I think I prefer that style. It looks super cool in-game. This pack comes with 7 really cool weapons, so let's go ahead and run through them quickly, starting with the sword, which is the weapon you see on screen now. Just a simple sword, but it fits perfectly. Followed by the dirk, a nice short stabbing dagger. Looks very nice as well and fits with the vanilla animations super good, so I like that one a lot as well. Then we have the mace, which looks like a crazy one-handed morning star with the biggest ball end that you've ever seen. Really cool, and I'm pretty sure those are railroad spikes coming through the end of it, so really nice. Then we have the pole axe, which is an axe on a pole with a nice spike at the end of it. Very good weapon in actual medieval history, but definitely an interesting one with quite a bit of range in this game. Super cool to see it. The spear is quite an interesting one, and it's where you really start to see the ramshackle handmade vibe of these weapons, as that's not a traditional looking spear, but rather something made out of junk found in the wasteland. But again, I really like it, and it fits perfectly into the universe. Then we have the Flamberge, a nice long sword with a serrated edge, and is just a menacing looking sword. Very big and intimidating on this guy. And then finally we have the Warhammer, made out of some industrial parts it would seem, a nice big hammer for your character to wield. All of these weapons are actually added to the leveled list and can be found on melee raiders as well as super mutants, and can also be crafted at your nearest chemistry station under the new Get Medieval section, where you can craft all of these for some steel and some wood. Sadly though, these weapons do not have any upgrades at the weapons workbench. That's the last step that really would have thrown it over the edge for me, but it's still a really nice weapon pack. It's just that as you find these weapons, they are as is, damage and everything. Up next, we have our power armor of this video, which is going to be the TES-51 power armor by Edible Grenade 12. And to get this thing, you're going to start by going to the new Bethesda Comics location that you see in front of you. Once inside, we will find some pretty interesting looking power armor. Once inside, you will find that it is a pretty normal comic shop, except there are some pretty interesting things laying around. For example, some posters about Todd Howard, little statue of the armor there, and even some magazines to be found. For example, the Elder Scrolls issue number 3, which is one you're definitely going to want to pick up because you'll get some new cosmetics for the power armor. Be sure to look out too for some interesting little statues. And as we continue, we will find an elevator, which will lead us to the armor itself, as well as the next comic book. And here we are. We find a nice little workbench area where this guy has been making some Skyrim-inspired things like this here steel sword, as well as the steel warhammer, and then finally, the armor itself, the TES-51 power armor, which looks pretty similar to some Skyrim-style armor. And be sure to grab the last comic here next to the bed as well. Now that we have the armor, we can see that it's kind of beat up and rusted, but there is something we can do about that. We're just going to have to take it over to a power armor station first. Now, sadly, I was having a bug that I couldn't seem to resolve that wouldn't allow me to modify this thing at the workbench, and that's guaranteed something on my end, not the mod itself. But I'd love to come back to this and do a full video actually going into all of the details, because there's a lot to offer with this mod in the future. So, definitely a great one to add if you're looking to have some medieval styled power armor or just a nice callback to Skyrim in your Fallout 4. Now, how can we have a medieval video without talking about the mod Crossbows of the Commonwealth, which, of course, adds crossbows to the game. So, Crossbows of the Commonwealth by TrickyVein is a really neat way to add a new type of ranged weapon that doesn't actually shoot bullets. Now, we've talked about this mod a lot on my channel, so I won't waste your time by covering every little detail, especially since we have an entire video dedicated to this mod on the channel already. So I'll link that in the description if you want more details. But essentially, this is a nice crossbow mod that utilizes vanilla animation and adds a really cool medieval ranged weapon into the game with a good bit of customization to make it modern as well. But that's not the point of this video. We're keeping it medieval. So for the purpose of this, we're going to leave it with the vanilla attachments, as that's the most medieval style of crossbow that we can achieve, with a nice little hand crank for the reload animation. Such a cool mod, and I will always love Crossbows of the Commonwealth, and this is a mainstay in my regular load order, but it works great for this one too. And then finally, we have actually two mods, but they're by the same author and part of the same family, and that's going to be the Cabin in the Woods as well as Adam's Greatness, both of which by Ethreon. So the Cabin in the Woods is going to add a new building set, and the Adam's Greatness mod is also going to add a new building set, both of which have a very medieval vibe. So 3 of these buildings are actually from Cabin in the Woods, and we'll start with those. So we have your standard log cabin set, which you can see right here, which will come in multiple colors and variations, but generally all in this style. You'll also have this nice prefab over here, which is a really cool circular hut that you can drop down in any settlement. I have mine scaled down, actually, because the standard version is huge. But that would be really great if you're actually trying to build a medieval settlement. That's a good centerpiece. And finally is this cabin set here, which features taller, much larger wood. And you can go crazy and make some really cool wooden-style castles with this thing. Or keeps, rather. And then with the Adam's Greatness mod, it actually features 2 church sets. Now, one of them is a more modern painted wood, but the other, as you can see, is a nice classic stone church with some really big, beautiful windows, and just the tall ceiling screams medieval. Super, super cool sets that you can use to make some interesting stuff. I've actually seen some people do just this on the Nexus. There are some pre-built blueprints that you can download that utilize these mods as well as several others to make some medieval towns, so it's definitely something that you could do. And with that, we bring our video to a close. I really hope you guys enjoyed and found some new cool mods you might want to try for some really interesting load orders. Funny enough, a few of these actually were already in my load order. They just had a different purpose, so pretty interesting how some of these can be used in multiple ways. Anyways, I encourage you guys to donate, endorse anything you can to show all of these awesome mod authors that you really appreciate all of their hard work and just give them your support in general. And if you enjoyed this video, don't forget to drop a rating, subscribe if you haven't already for more content just like this, and stay tuned for future modding videos. and I hope to see you in the next one. Peace! And hey, shout out to all of our patrons for their continued support. As always, your donations are greatly appreciated and help to fund videos just like this one, so again, thank you.